good evening, and how is everyone this evening? And I would want to ask who is in the house? It's another time here on Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. This evening, we are here to have another conversation, and it's been 2 weeks since we've sat together, and it has been an amazing period of time. And I just want to have us relax, take a breath in deep, in through the nostril, out through the mouth. Just relax. Remember, this is your safe space. This is the space where you have confidential professionals who are listening to you, who are having a conversation about life and legacy. And for this evening, we have a twist, a change in topic. It's the clash of the images. Now, before we move into that, I just want to ask my co-host, Shauna Kay, and our lovely Dr. Pearnel Bell to just share with us a little bit of what happened. How has the 2 weeks been? And were you able to sleep after we had that conversation? What has it been like for you?
I'll let Dr. Bell go first.
Okay, so I think that was really a very, very good conversation. And we have been getting really very good feedback in terms of this is life and life happens. And so to be informed in this way, I think is just priceless for the people out there who are listening to us. It's priceless. It's informative. It's education. And so we're happy to be able to be giving this information and dispensing this information out there.
Yeah, I have to concur. To be honest with you, one of the best experiences I had was when, after sharing the video with someone, they weren't able to watch the live. They weren't able to come on to the live. And I know that they went through something really traumatic over the past month or so. And so I knew that the information that we were sharing on that live would have been impactful. But to get that validation, I got a text message and the person said, this is just what I needed. And the truth is, Doc, I know that when you came up with the vision of creating this space and a forum and a platform that allows people to feel like they have a space that they can feel like they're being heard, they can feel like they're being equipped. We can say truthfully that impact has been made as of this past week. So I'm very happy to be a part of it. I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And to be honest with you, I never ever saw myself being able to share this kind of platform with both of you. But I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
It's been awesome.
Tell me, Dr. Kelly, in terms of your plans. I know that the topic of grief was a very hot topic. I'm not sure you did share with me some plans that you have regarding that, and I would love for you to share that with our audience at this time.
Well, the truth be told, what happened is that the response, as was expected, it was quite overwhelming, and it spurred another interest in me to provide additional support for these persons. And so what we have thought about is that we'll be creating a space where we'll have individuals with real life situations that they can put in this space and virtually, and they can have a way of expressing their grief and finding alternative to the ways in which they have been managing, or perhaps may not have been managing, but they find alternative ways to treat with the situation and be comfortable. One of the things I appreciate about the reviews I've been getting, both about my book and the processes when I have these kinds of sessions, is that persons feel that they are given permission to grieve, permission to own their feelings. And as a result, they have found true healing. So we want to create that space for them and provide opportunity where they can treat with that.
And I think the real genius behind that plan is that in addition to the space, you're creating a community of support for these individuals. And that's going to be in the form of a Facebook group. More will come on that later. So we're inviting you to go ahead and like the page. Those of you who are on here, I'm seeing that there are 24 people tuned in right now. I have one request of you right now. Please go ahead
So
and
who is in the house?
go ahead and hit that share button. We want to hear from you, and we want you to comment here. I see that we have Wendy Romain. Great to have you here, Wendy.
Wendy's from Grenada,
Oh,
all the
Grenada.
way from Grenada.
I love it. I love it. If you could just hit us up in the chat and or in the comment section to just let us know where you're joining us from, and just go ahead and share this feed, because I'm telling you, today is the day for you to be here. Today is a day for you to experience Let's Talk Life and Legacy. If you don't want to miss out on this conversation, and there are others who need to be a part of this conversation. And so right now, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you to what we'll be doing this evening. You know, the weight loss industry right now is a billion-dollar industry. The beauty industry is a billion-dollar industry. And the reason for that is that individuals have been able, or businesses have been able to create a culture that they expect that others will fit into. We all fall for it every single day because they define what beauty looks like, and then we follow suit. We accept and believe what they tell us, right? And the truth is, this evening, we want to create a dialogue, and we want to have a conversation about body image, a conversation about what healthy and positive body image looks like. Earlier on this week, I put a poll up on my status, and I was overwhelmed at the responses that I got. I got responses from all over. I had individuals saying that I feel hella confident about my body. But when you look at the responses that came in afterwards, you could tell that this is really an area, an avenue that there needs to be some conversation to sort of set the record straight on who defines what's beautiful. Should it be the weight loss industry telling us that our bodies are only beautiful if it looks a certain way, a nip here, a tuck there? You know, is that what we should rely on to determine whether or not we are fearfully and wonderfully made? And so the experts this evening, I'm happy to sit down with them to have this conversation and this dialogue. And also, we have a nice nugget for you towards the end of the program, a surprise guest that's here with us, who's going to share her personal story on how she has been able to overcome those challenges, those stereotypes related to what's considered beautiful. So just hang on in there. And I just want to bring my two ladies on screen, my two experts on screen at this time. Ladies, we're talking about body image. We're talking about the clash of the image. And by virtue of the fact that you use the word clash to define what we will be talking about today, it tells me that there's some contrasting elements between body image and self-image. And I would love to hear from you how, you know, what makes up the difference for both of those. What is the difference between self-image and body image?
So really, when we think of our body image, it's really that mental picture that we have of ourselves, and in essence, it could be a negative or a positive image of what our body frame is all about. And when we think of self image, it's that comprehensive picture that includes, yes, our body image, but also it includes our personality, height, weight, and so on. So it's a complete picture of who we are, that the self-image as against the body image, when it's just the focus is on my body and what I am perceiving it to be.
Excellent. And I would I'll just add just one thought. You become what you are. What you think you are, you are. You're
Unmute.
muted.
Doc, you can't just drop that kind of knowledge on us right there and just leave it there. You have to break that down some more. Unpack that for us. You said what you believe. Go ahead. I want to hear it
You
some more.
become
You become what you
you
believe.
become who you are. What you think you are, you are. So if you think you are fabulous, if you think you're awesome, if you think you're the best thing since what they say sliced bread, you are that. And if you are as gorgeous as, well, whatever will define that to be, and you feel that you are nobody, you feel that your body is ugly and it irritates you just to even look in a mirror, you are that. So essentially, your self image is created by the subconsciousness. And what is in your subconsciousness is what is fed through to you through your senses: smell, touch, seeing, hearing, all of that. And that comes whether through the media, whether through the classroom, whether through the name calling, whatever it is. So that's what I mean. What you think you are, you are.
And I see that Roberta, she shared in the chat that as a man thinketh, so is he, and that scripture right there. That's a very profound point. And one of the things that you just talked about is sort of it's triggering me to go in another direction right now, because you mentioned something about media, and one of the things that we can agree on is that uh, for years, historically, the female body has been the object of projecting or satisfying and appealing to male desire. And for the most part, we watch it on the TV, or whenever we read those novels, and they're defining and describing for us how a sexy woman looks, or
Mm.
what a beautiful body looks like. Most times we're hearing things like your small waves, curvy hips, and different things. And so one of the things that we want to talk about today is the impact of the media and what that looks like, and how that shapes our understanding of beauty. Dr. Bell, I would love to hear from you on that one.
So, when we look at the definition of beauty, many times it comes from this Eurocentric view, which is that straight nose, straight face, long hair, thinness is also a part of that beauty. But who really defines beauty? Really? And so our concept of what is beautiful is given to us by the media. And if we're to go by that, many of us would not fit into that sense
That's
of
all.
what's pretty, what's beautiful. And that in it and of itself, if we are not measuring up to that standard, that is where self-esteem issues and body image issues begin to set in for many of us who use that media representation as the standard for beauty.
Excellent. And I love the point that you make about the Eurocentric view, because, as we look at many other things, fashion, the way makeup is worn these days, there's so many things that we see that has evolved. There was a time when with makeup, it was less is more. That was elegant. And you
Mm-hmm.
see a consistent change where that is concerned. And, more and more, we continue to see that has become been driven mainly by what we see on social media, what we see on our TV shows, and so on. But I want to know, how is it that we can define beauty? How do I know what true beauty is? I would love for us to have that conversation right now, because we need to get down to the nitty gritty. We're saying that the Europeans should not be able to define it. but who should?
Go ahead, Doc.
No, I think beauty is really not just our outer features, but beauty is really an inner perspective. It's our kindness, it's our ability to be empathetic, it's our ability to look out for others. So that inner beauty to me will resonate on the outside. And so if we are to get caught up too much into that physical space, then if there is a standard of beauty and we can't measure up to that standard, this is where the issue comes. So beauty is more than just the outer appearance. To me, the comprehensive package is really how we work on that spirituality, how we work on our sense of forgiveness, our sense of empathy. All of those are qualities to me that emanates beauty.
And Dr. Kelly, I would love for you to weigh in on that. I want to hear your perspective on that as well, in terms of defining beauty.
My perspective goes back to creation. When God said, let us make man in our image.
Excellent point.
And the Bible said, in the image of God created he them, male and female. At the end of creation, or at the end of every day, but in particular, he looked back and he said what? It was good. Whereas God would have called things and bees and birds and into existence. He didn't just call human beings. He used his very hands and formed them, and he declared them beautiful. And when he said that he made them in his image, he means just that. So beauty for me, it goes back to being a person, a replica of God. A replica of God.
Wow, that's an excellent point, because one of the conversations I find myself having, and I don't know if ladies you're familiar with this book. It's called More Than a Body. It's written by these twins that try to highlight the fact that as individuals, especially females, we tend to have somewhat of a split identity. There is the person who I am, and then there's the critic, right? That external critic that is constantly having that conversation with you, saying your body, you're fat, or calling yourself a fat pig in your mind because of how you're looking at breasts and so on and so forth. How can one find ways, right, to address that voice? And I'm talking from the perspective of someone who struggled with that, with my weight and having three children and so on. How can one address the whole issue of self-objectification, where I just view my beauty and I only confine my beauty to my physical appearance?
So we want to widen that out and taking a wider definition of what beauty is. And then we tend to have that self-critical voice that usually it is a self-deprecating voice that says I'm not good enough, I am, and then using those standards of beauty to judge ourselves. So we want to come from a place of self-compassion. The same way we would talk and encourage someone else, we need to also show that level of self-compassion for self, so that we're good enough, and that we do not compare ourselves or use the standard of beauty that's out there to define how we should feel and how we should behave in terms of our sense of body image or our self image. And as I said earlier, when we think of beauty, it's far more than just our outer appearance. And so we should spend more time on being a person that is going to be a person that is caring to others. And I think, again, you can see someone, and some people might say that person is so, but when you look at that person's sense of personality, this is what endears you to the person. And so we don't want to define ourselves narrowly and have that narrow self image of what humans have set as a standard of beauty. I have my own sense of what's beautiful, and I am.
That's right. I love it. Dr. Kelly, Dr. Grace, I want to hear from you on this.
I am struggling right now between the reality and and our perception, our understanding of what is ideal, and the reality of what's happening out there. There are some persons right now who are listening in and they are wondering, who are these people? Do they have any sense at all? Do they know what it is for me to be walking on the street and somebody say, hey, beauty, black bees, whatever, whatever they call me. How, and that's where my struggle is. But I just want to say generally, it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter how you have thought about yourself in the past. The truth is that our perception was distorted along the way because God intended for us to be beautiful inside and out. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I always feel as beautiful as I'm feeling this evening. No. There was a time when I had my struggles and they called me names. I can't tell you some of them, because if I tell you, somebody might call me. But when I was in school, our classmates, they would call us all kind of them. And I cannot recall myself being this thin. Even as a child, I was always chubby, big, and they said to some of us, you're big and buffo buffo. I
Yes.
tell you that one, but I won't tell you the others. How do you get to a place where you can celebrate the me that I have become? It says, by beholding, you become changed. And what you feed yourself, basically, as I've shared before, the only solution to any of these problems, whether it be self image or body image, it lies within our thinking and how we view ourselves and what we use to inform our perception of who we are.
Excellent point. And what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that as human beings, we are so much more than our bodies.
Yes.
We are so much more, we have a wonderful mind. We have a beautiful mind. We have a spiritual aspect to our beings. We have our characters. There's so many other factors to who we are as human beings. And we need to celebrate all of that and not just limit our happiness, the success of even our relationships and our self-confidence, right? All of those factors are affected by it. I'm going to share a personal situation. After I had my first child, my belly has been a source of serious insecurities. And I know that many persons who are on here, if you are feeling me right now, I want you to just put it in the comment. But I was like, okay, bye-bye bikini body, because you now have a belly. Like my belly was, it's like jello, it has stretch marks, all of those things. And as far as I'm concerned, that's it for me in terms of bikini on a beach. That's it. It's never going to happen again. But what's interesting, and I want to give a special shout out to individuals who are mothers of boys. My son, last year before I went to Jamaica, affirmed my stretch marks. You know what he said to me, Dr. Bell? He said, Mommy, I love your belly. It's so pretty. You have patterns.
I love that. I love it.
I promise you that when I went to the store, I got me some two-piece bath suits and bathing suits, and I was on that beach in my two-piece celebrating my patterns because my son affirmed how soft and nice my belly was. He affirmed how beautiful it was. And I just felt like because he's so young and innocent and not exposed to the standards of beauty that have been set, what a difference it makes to have that
Exactly.
kind of so that definitely is a factor. We have to be able to say that I'm more than my body, I'm more than my stretch marks, and I'm more than so on.
So it goes back to what Dr. Kelly said. It's all in the mind, and whatever we reflect will be reflected back to us. So if we reflect that we are beautiful both in and out, soon and very soon, that's what people are going to be saying. Is when we develop this sense of being fearful and not embracing the total we,
Mhm.
that is when our reflections now become these self-esteem issues. It's in the mind, and we want to think beauty. We are beautiful.
We're beautiful even before we start losing the weight. So, there really are some negative impact that having a negative body image can cause. And I want you ladies to comment because you've dealt with cases, you've dealt with people who have to deal with these kinds of situations. What impact can my having a negative image of my body and of how I measure up to beauty? What negative impact can that have on my overall wellness?
It can have significant impact. The fact that you do not regard your body as, I don't, while I can't help it because it's in my blood as a Christian in terms of, body is a temple of the Lord. But why I would prefer saying it in this on this platform, if you don't regard your body as sacred, as something to honor, then you are going to find yourself in with serious challenges, and that can turn us into, or it can cause us to have mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
which can result into different eating disorders and other kind of challenges where what the body doctor
Morphic.
dysmorphic
Yeah.
disorder and those kinds of things. And we can explain a little bit on that. But remember, the eating disorder, it can range from a psychological condition, which is you're eating the unhealthy habits. It takes you from not eating enough to overeating, become obsessive with food, and then you become obsessive with your body weight and your shape and if left untreated, that can cause issues, and also it can even lead into death. So things like anorexia, bulimia, and other things. I'll give Doc an opportunity to expand on some others which she would have also worked with.
Right. So those are the same ones, because once we start to have this distorted view of and sense of self and sense of what my body is, it could lead to self-esteem issues. And if we are not feeling good about self, this will prevent us from even wanting to go out into society. Some
Mhm.
people have decided not to work because they don't want to be called those horrible names that they feel that they're going to be called. Some persons, because of again their perception of self, they have become depressed and
Mhm.
have experienced anxiety disorders as a result of just the fact that they feel like they're not measuring up to those standards that are actually set. And just to go some more into what Dr. Kelly just said, anorexia nervosa is really a eating disorder
Mhm.
that actually can last for years, can last for years. And as a result of that, can create again psychological damage to this person, where they this the binge eating and
The
not
throwing up.
yeah, the vomiting and so on, especially in the case of bulimia and also anorexia nervosa, and develop this very strong negative self-image. And if we're walking around being so uncomfortable with self, just imagine that
You know,
your skin, and you're so uncomfortable with in your skin, man, that is torture.
Yeah, but some people go as far as covering up their entire bodies, and if they could go out and only just their eyes are shown, they would. Not because of a cultural situation. Some people literally hide their bodies under some huge clothes. Others they do all kind of things with tattoo, body piercing, plastic surgery, and all of those things, trying to create a body that they can appreciate.
someone mentioned it in the chat, and I agree with them, especially in the culture that I grew up in back in Jamaica. We have a tendency to call people by names that we consider to be physical. So, for instance, you have tall man, broad, blackie. Those are the things
Same
that
thing.
One in.
one. If a person,
Like if you have a one and
if people have certain deformities, we call them by the deformities. Like, we are very physical as a people, and in many ways, that starts to impact people's overall self-esteem and so on. I want you to help me out here. For a person who struggles with this on a daily basis, tell me, Dr. Bill, how do you help a person live through these experiences so that they come out on the other side resilient, being able, it's almost like those things bounce off. I want you to tell us, what are some of the coping mechanisms that a person can put on in order to address that kind of a thing?
so I think we had mentioned it before, where it's definitely going to be the person defining their sense of beauty and not using the beauty that is out there as their standard of beauty. And so once we're comfortable with ourselves, we must develop that level of comfort to know that, and as Dr. Kelly said earlier too, we're made in the image of God, all of us. And so that self-acceptance is going to be important no matter what, or whatever the flaw defect that we feel that we have. It comes down to the fact that we have to learn that sense of self-acceptance. And once we can come to that place where we have that sense of, this is who I am pleased with who I am, and no ends of words or what people are going to say will shape me, because I have that grounded sense of
Mm.
self.
So it goes back to
Um,
the statement, I am enough. Dr. Kelly.
Yes.
Yes, I appreciate this opportunity to comment on this. If you go back to the question you asked, Shauna, and what you said, listen to what you said a while ago. What kind of coping mechanism can they put on? It's almost like the mind immediately put you in a position to think that it is something that
You
should
need
be
to put
put
on.
on to cover up. And thanks for having a sense of humor so you could laugh about it. But that's a reality that we have to face.
It's
It's
cute.
not about what we put on. It's about how, and Dr. Bell expanded very well. I have a quote I want to share, this quotation with us. It says, if thou couldest in vision see the man that God had meant, then thou wouldest never be the man thou art content, man or woman. If we could only envision what God meant for us to be, we would be content
Negative
who
impact
we are,
that
and we would not
negative.
be as we would not be as we are today. And might I also add that in the coping strategies, gotta be real. Don't fool ourselves and understand what I mean. If you are a brown skin, dark chocolate color, don't tell yourself that you're white. And if you're white, don't tell yourself that you're black. Because repeating that you're white or you're black will not change your complexion. And we don't recommend bleaching either. Be real. Appreciate yourself truly for who you are and understand that because our sense of beauty was distorted along the way, it didn't happen overnight. And so this process will not be an overnight process either. And similarly to how we treat with the matter of grief, would still be some of those mechanisms or strategies that we would use to get through this, because it is something for which we need to get through and not get over.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Grace. And one of the things that I have, majority of the times when a question is asked, what do you think about your body? Or what do you think about beauty? It normally comes down to looks. It normally comes down to the physical aspects of, and one of the things that I wanted us to discuss is the whole matter of body shaming, right? I know that we have control. One person here asked, who holds the power, of changing the wrong beauty perceptions? Of people, is it the home, is it the school, is it the society, or is it the individual? I'll just insert that one. But body shaming is a problem, right? We not only want to empower those individuals who are experiencing the body shaming, but we also want to address those of us who indulge in that kind of a behavior. What are the ways that individuals can be sensitive to tell us some ways that individuals can be sensitive in the way that they address people about their looks and beauty and so on? Dr. Bell, I'd love to hear from you on that one.
Mute.
The people who are body shaming, they really should go back to what I said earlier, where they should try to develop that inner beauty, because the fact that they're body shaming makes them ugly as far as I'm concerned. And so they really, what they want to do is to develop a good sense of themselves, and also to look within to develop that sense of beauty. And remember how we define beauty in the beginning. It's really those inner qualities that we possess that is going to be helping to develop the human race, to help to develop our communities. And so what we want to do is to teach people how to be encouraging, teach them how to be empathetic. Would they have liked to be in that position so that they would be going around trying to make somebody else feel bad? And in my mind, when people go around trying to make others feel bad, it's because they're not feeling good about themselves. So I would encourage them to go back and begin to work on both the inner and the outer beauty. And outer beauty is not the slim and the thin and the straight nose and all of that. It's about even how we carry ourselves in terms of being hygienic, clean.
Yes.
All of that is part of our beauty. And once we're doing that, we don't need to go and body shame anybody at all. And for those who are being body shamed, again, the idea here is your health come first. We're not talking about defining of beauty here, your health. And so if your body image is creating a health problem for you, you should want to make that a priority, and become healthy without feeling that you have to be, it's beauty that the emphasis is on. And again, it goes back to accept yourself with the view to be just healthy people who are going to, again, be engaging with others in a way that is encouraging.
That's an excellent point that you just made, Doc, about, the truth is there are so many other aspects of how we can create beauty. We work on our mind, we develop skills, we learn, we do things to enhance and improve ourselves, not because we want to be better than anybody else, but because we consider, our lives to be sacred, and who we are, the totality of who we are, to be very sacred. Thank you so much for that point. Dr.
And
Do you have anything else to
I
add?
just wanted also to say to parents, because it's interesting to note that our body image begins to form from, say, age 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want parents to help their kids to develop that good sense of self, and not just on the physical, and tell them how they're black and ugly, and how your foot this and that, and all kinds of ugly things that they say to their kids. So we want them to really get away from that and honor the children, celebrate with them. And if there's need for help, they and for health, that they do so in a way that help the person to make the necessary changes, but not in a shaming way.
Excellent. And the last question that we're going to touch on today, you covered a part of it, because it's important that we strive to be healthy. We prioritize our health rather than how we look. So the motivation behind it really should come down to our health. But what about legacy? We talk about the body shaming, we talk about the negative body image. But how does that connect with the whole subject matter of legacy? Dr. Grace, I'd love to hear from you where that is concerned, because just a little bit of what Dr. Bell just said a while ago about parents breaking the cycle then. When it comes on to your children, we have time to do that. Can you just speak to that a little bit more, Dr. Grace?
Yeah. A lot is going through my mind right now, even as we try to create this link between self-image, body image, and life and legacy. There are a lot of persons who, when they would have come to the end of their life, they would realize that they would not have lived at all, because they would always be striving to become a person, a color, or a size that they are not.
Mm-hmm.
We are very unique, and the Lord has given us some indicators of that, or thumbprints. And you see, as I said, it's a lot going through my brain right now, and I'm thinking, how do we get to this with the short space of time that we have leave on this platform? One, the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. How then do you treat your neighbor and love them more than you love themselves, more than you love yourself? How do I know that we do that? We love them more than we love ourselves, because we allow them to hurt us, to abuse us, whether physically, emotionally, or whichever way. Our life is lived in fear. You fear going out because you don't want people to see. You fear eating something, you don't want to get fat. You fear not eat. You fear, and then the ailments that come as a result of that, psychologically, physically. So by the time, what they say, you spend half your life trying to get wealth, and then the rest of it you spend the wealth trying to get health. It all wraps up in that, if I were to call it, the phenomena of understanding how to treat with our children in a way that they can appreciate themselves, they can love themselves, they can live free and happy
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
without the threat of something happening to them because they are black, they're going to be gunned down because they this, that, all those kind of things. A lot of things that is wrapped up in this. And the greatest legacy that any parent can give to a child is a sense of purpose,
Yes.
sense of wholeness,
Mm-hmm.
sense of that abiding peace that they know that I am God's child. I know who I am and I know whose I am. That's the greatest legacy that you could give to your children.
Listen, I am a believer, and thank you for inspiring that in me so that I can do the same thing with my children. Because, Dr. Kelly, the truth is, I can tell you, a lot of the things that you've shared with us in our growing up, I've used it on my children, and I see that it actually works. We are to the point now. I'm a believer in giving my child the gift of self-confidence more so than I am in giving them the ability to do so well academically that they're ahead of their class in everything. I'm not sacrificing one for the other, but I just believe in prioritizing giving our children the gift of self-confidence, and nothing works better than affirming them in terms of them being beautiful, not because of how they look, but because of who they are. And right now, we're going to bring out a special guest with us. Dean Tanisha Butler is somebody that I met while I was in Pine Forge. She is one of the most beautiful people that I know. She's very kind. She's friendly. She's open. She's honest. She's as real as they come. Dean Tanisha, I've watched her posts on Facebook all the time, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, she's doing so well. I'm so proud of her. And I'm so delighted that she consented to join us today. She's going to be sharing her personal journey as she dealt with the whole matter of body image and what motivated and drive her. Dean Tanisha, I'm going to ask you to just come out here in the studio right now so the people can see who you are. They can look at your beautiful face. The Tanisha that you see on screen there is very happy to share her journey. This picture that you see on the screen right here is actually a before and after picture of her personal journey and what she has been able to accomplish. And I'm so proud to know her and associate with her because her story is absolutely amazing. Dr. Grace, I'm going to give you the opportunity to connect with Dean Tanisha right now on her story. But I'm going to ask Tanisha, can you just introduce yourself for those who are viewing so people can know who you are, so they can be familiar with who you are, Tanisha?
Yes. Hello, everyone. And first of all, before we start, I want to thank Mrs. Pottinger for inviting me on this platform and allowing me to come on. And my name is Tanisha Butler. I am the current assistant dean at Pine Forge Academy, social worker, MSW by trade. And so this is my calling and what I love to do. And so when she asked me, would I come on, I was excited because this lines up with my life goal of empowering women across the United States and the world.
Excellent. And we're happy that you're here with us. Dr. Grace, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to ask Dean Tanisha your question today.
Yes, Dean Tanisha, welcome. It's really good having you here on this program. Let's talk life and legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hear in the shortest possible summary that you could give. How did you get from there to here? Such a beauty. Hey, I'm not talking about it. Shauna, I
Yes.
would appreciate you putting back the picture while Tanisha
Okay. All right.
is
Let me go ahead and
telling
do.
us, in summary, what happened. We are not hearing you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean Tanisha. For some reason, your audio just left us. I'm not sure what happened there. She got cut off. She got disconnected. I can't wait to have her back for
As
her
soon as she,
story on what motivated her to make that.
Not sure what's happening,
Doctor,
Nisha.
you're back. You can go ahead and share
Yes.
with us.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I was sharing. The question was, how did I get from where I was to where I am today? And in the shortest answer possible, I just want to say that that happened because I simply decided to choose me one day, for the first time, and that also came along with not only choosing me but choosing my health. Um, Choosing my career as a dean currently and being a coach and role model to the young ladies that I work with, and also as a social worker by trade. I recognize that the work that I'm called to do by the Lord um, does require a lot, and I need my health in order to do it. And so this time was different only because I chose me. I had done all the emotional work that we talked about earlier, in finding out who I am and what I like, what I would want to do in life, and all the rest of it. And so then this was now the last thing, and I had struggled with it over the years, but I finally decided to choose me, and I do that every single day. I choose me. Hmm.
I love that. Didn't one
Are
of the
you?
Mhm, go ahead, Dr. Grace. I'm sorry.
I was saying, are you saying to us that the transformation that happened with the
Hmm.
weight loss was
Hmm.
synonymous with the transformation that happened in the mind?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
How different have you been feeling in terms of people's reaction to you before and now?
So the reaction has been immense. A lot of people have been inspired by the weight loss, and a lot of people have, been shocked just seeing me. I will pass by, and they wouldn't even recognize me. Like, oh, I didn't notice that it was you. So, absolutely inspiring to people, and that makes my soul happy because I've always wanted to inspire people to become the best version of them that they can become. But I realized that I first had to do that within myself so that other people can believe that it can be done because it's a very difficult thing. But you do have to do the work. You have to tell yourself the truth about what you really want. You have to do the work in terms of finding out who you are, what's your purpose in this world, and all the rest of it. Whatever those childhood hurts were, the things that you experienced, the trauma, you have to work through all of that so that you can get to a point mentally where you can now say, I have done the work and now I decide to choose me no matter what. Every single day I'm going to choose me, what I put into my mouth. um, Saying no, sometimes people are like, oh, I just want you to take. No, it doesn't work with my plan, and it's not going to help me get to where I am. So it does take a lot for you to get there mentally, but you can get there through counseling and talking to people and talking out your problems. You do have to deal with it at some point if you want to grow and become the best version of yourself at some point.
You mentioned the best version of yourself at least
Hmm.
2 or 3 times.
Hmm.
Does that mean the best version of yourself is a slim version as opposed to a fat version? Or as it relates to your character development, how do you help us to put those concepts together?
And so the best version of yourself is a combination of all of those things because you can find happiness within, but you still have to do the work. Especially like Dr. Bell mentioned earlier, if your weight becomes a problem to where now you're having medical issues because of it, then absolutely that is something that you want to take care of. As soon as possible, because one thing that's for sure is that our health is all we have. Outside of health, you can buy everything else, but you cannot buy your health. um but in doing the work, those things are even more important because what I tell myself, like you said, Dr. Kelly, what I tell myself in my mind and what I begin to believe is what is going to be. So if I tell myself, no matter where I am, whether I'm 200 pounds or 115 pounds, if I tell myself in my mind that I am beautiful and I am worth it, um, and I am special and all the rest of it, and you begin to believe, you have to believe that you are those things. And once you begin to change your mind as to who you are now, when you walk around, people can feel your energy, and that energy transfers onto other people. And people ask, what this person looks so happy. What's so different about them? They haven't done anything outside of what I've noticed. So for me, because it's physical, people can notice it more. But if you work with someone in close quarters and you notice before they use their countenance was just always sad all the time, all of a sudden they're happy. You're asking questions like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? And so what they're doing is they're doing their work. They're telling themselves the truth. They are tackling it, and they're finally choosing themselves. You have to choose you every day. And that's how you get from A to B.
Thank you so very, very much. So you have validated our position that is a holistic approach. All
Absolutely.
right. It has to be the mind, the body, and the soul, all
Mhm.
aspects working together.
Yes.
And we are grateful to have had you with us, and thanks a lot for sharing. And may God bless you, because you have demonstrated that you be it and then you become it.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you.
Tanisha, thank you so much. We're proud of you. Keep going. We're your
Yes.
cheerleaders. You've inspired tonight, and may God bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just uh,
Sorry, Tanisha, that was an error. You got cut inadvertently, but still keep connecting with us. We will have a continued conversation at another time.
for sure. We're definitely going to track the Indonesia's progress. And ladies, we're just getting ready. We're right on top of that segment where we take the questions from the chat and the comments. We have so many people on here tonight. I mean, there's Novia, there's Wendy. Roberta has been blowing up the chat. Kudos to you, Roberta. We're happy to have you. Trisha is here. We're happy that you all come in to join in the conversation. And we're hoping that as you leave here tonight, you're able to leave feeling whole, that I am enough. When you walk in that room, when you stand there, you have every right to be there. As everybody else that's there, you have every right to be on that stage. You have every right to be in that boardroom. Never you ever feel like you're less than because your standard of beauty doesn't meet up or measure up or fit into the way that the culture, the mold that the culture has set up for us. I see Inside Sparkle here, and I think Inside Sparkle official is somebody that I know asking a question. Earlier on we talked about the need for us to find our identity in Christ. And what do you say about those individuals who are not necessarily people of faith, and they too want to feel like they're enough? What do you say to somebody in that kind of a situation? Any counsel for that, Dr. Bell or Dr. Grace?
You want me to go, Doc? For me, it doesn't matter whether or not you're a Christian. Every human being that is born, the moment the breath is breathed into your body and you exhale that first breath, you are a person of worth.
Yes.
And if you can appreciate that, then that's where it begins. You have that thing within you, the yearning to connect to some force out there, whether you call it God but I know it's God. You are enough. And if you can't find it in Christ, find it in the value of what your parents brings to you. If it is not with your parents or anyone in the family line, find it in a circle that is comfortable, that is secure, and that is with integrity.
Excellent. And I think that answer somewhat speaks to the question that's coming up next. And Dr. Bell, I'm just going to ask you, since you were going to comment, this person, Roberta, is asking what kind of tools can we use to reverse and retrain our thinking about ourselves? Can self-affirmations help? What do you recommend that this person do if I've felt like I'm less than? I've always been that inner critic, that I've always listened to my inner critic. How can I retrain my thinking? Hold on 1 second, Doc. Go ahead now.
Right. The question before that I saw spoke to the idea of where the Eurocentric view of beauty is being passed down. That's a kind of legacy that we have gotten from the past. And so I think we have shifted quite a bit, because I remember years ago when Black people in particular wouldn't even wear their hair out. They wouldn't embrace their blackness. They wouldn't even say, I am a black girl in the ring. They would want to say, I'm a brown girl in the ring. And so I have actually seen significant shift away from that Eurocentric view of beauty. And so we want to continue that level of that trend away from that defining beauty from whiteness. We want to get away from that. And so it, as I said earlier, our image of self starts from around age 3. And so parents have the responsibility, as well as the society also has the responsibility, to help to validate everybody in terms of us as being human and worthy of dignity and worth. We want to come from that place. And that reversal, societal reversal of acceptance, shifting away from defining beauty in a more holistic way, as we have been doing this evening, not just that physical appearance, but helping persons to develop the right attitude and the right aptitude. And I believe that if we begin to emphasize more of the inner beauty, then that physical beauty and what stands, that standard that have been set, will be eroded. And I'm sure that I'm seeing that shift, and we just have to continue where again we are owning our own beauty and having that feeling that it would definitely be different from that standard that have been set.
So we're going to touch on one last question right now, Doc, and I think this is a very good question, because this person wants to know, it's okay, it's all well and good to have a positive self-image, but try to help us to determine what is the relationship between having a positive self-image and balancing that out with certain things such as obesity that people may have, and other chronic illnesses that can come as a result of having a certain body weight. Can you
So
guys?
yeah, yeah. Again, we can take steps without being self-critical. So we can skip that piece, like, oh, maybe gone fat and ugly, or
Mhm.
the fact is, just as we heard earlier, if we are at a point where our health is at stake and we are living an unhealthy life, then we want to do that self-examination. But we can cut out the critic part of it, because when we become critics, what happens is that it disables us. Maybe we end up with depression and anxiety, and we don't take these necessary steps to move forward. We just heard Dean, what the Dean just said, where she began to
Janet is from
recognize
London.
that her weight had become a health issue for her. And so she took steps to get healthy. So we don't want to, those critical statements that we're going to make about ourselves, that is defined by the standard of beauty that is out there, we want to skip that part and go right to being healthy people.
Dr. Grace?
I am supporting that wholeheartedly. There's no need for well, there is need for self-critique, but positive criticism. All right. And find your balance in what you think about yourself, what is the reality, and what needs to be done to bridge that gap. Whether it is some health matters that you need to take care of, and while you're going through it, enjoy it. Enjoy the process. You see, life is
Yeah.
about enjoying the seconds as we go, because there's not a second, another second that is that we can plan for, that we know will happen. So enjoy the moment.
Moment.
Dr. Bell is one who talks a lot about mindfulness. Be mindful at this moment. I am here. I am 249 pounds. That's not my real weight. I'm a little lower than that right now. Celebrate with me. But say it. This is where I'm at, and my target weight is X. Work towards it. It's almost like believing the life that you want. Believe it in. Celebrate the healthy lifestyle while you're on the path of getting it. So it's about the journey and not the destination.
Well, ladies, you
Possession.
know what?
Wendy's asking a question here. She said, our children spend a lot of time at school. How can the school help? Again, the school is one of those socialization agent, and teachers again want to ensure that they promote acts of kindness in the classroom. And so they could have days where they have their the children practice encouragement to each other. So a day that they honor each other in the school. So rather than being self-critical and and carry on with the children in a way of like self-deprecation, what they do is to help children to see that they speak well of each other, honor each other, and do acts of kindness, as was said. And so the teachers can promote that in the school, so that that sense of you're big and fat and you're ugly would be eliminated, because it's about honoring each other in the classroom setting.
Excellent. Dr. Grace, I know that you work with the schools a lot in Jamaica, and you have an understanding of what goes on there. Can you give any recommendations? I'm sure there are people on here who work at schools and so on. What can the schools do to help in this area?
Well, I validate and support what Dr. Bell shared. And in addition to that, help them practice positive psychology in that, doing some things to, celebrate each other. Let me share with you this one thing. I'm gonna go back to that, Shauna, in 30 seconds. But I don't want to forget this thought. Your brain can only think of one thing at a time. No matter how busy your mind seems, no matter how active you are, and no matter how many projects you are working on, you can think of one thing at a time. And if that one thing can be something positive, we should train our children to do that. In the schools, you can have group sessions where people, I'm going to give a practical demonstration. You have a spinning chair, you have the child sitting in the chair, and they spin the chair in a circle, and whomever the person's face at that time, they share a compliment one with the other. When persons get their work, the teachers don't measure or compare students with students and share information about their work and so on. That is a situation that creates a lot of issues with self-esteem, and it can cause issues with bullying and so on. So do the opposite of what caused the conflict, so that you can reduce that and you can support the positive in different ways. That would be my suggestion right now.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. We have some very good feedback coming out of the chat. People are really appreciative of the conversation about body image. You know, this time of the year is the time when most of us actually think about it, because we go through Thanksgiving, we go through Christmas, we eat all we can, and then we turn around and we feel a lot of guilt as a result of that, because we feel like we've piled on a few pounds. And I hope this evening that this discussion has helped you somewhat to reframe the way that we view ourselves, so that we don't feel less than. We don't feel like because we don't measure up to other people's standard of beauty, that we are not worthy. And that's what the doctors are saying today. That's what I personally have gleaned from it. Right now, I want to ask you, there are 57 of you on this live right now, and I want you to do something for me. If you're on Facebook, I want you to head over to the Let's Talk Life and Legacy page, a moment with Dr. Grace, and hit the like button. You know why? Because we are going to be having a series of videos similar to this one. It will continue to go on like this for a few months. And we do not want you to miss out. We want you to be on top of things where that's concerned. So go over to Facebook, like the Let's Talk Life and Legacy page. Go over to YouTube and search for Facing Life and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so that you can be in the loop when amazing things start to happen. Dr. Grace, at the beginning of the segment, announced that we will be having a grief support group on the Let's Talk Life and Legacy page. And we're going to invite you to be a part of that support group. Once you feel that you are in need of that support, we're asking you to join in the conversation. Come our next meeting, Dr. Grace, I think we'll be touching something about love, because it will be the love season. Look at you. Tell us about that, what you have coming up, Dr. Grace.
Well, let's talk life and legacy with Dr. Grace. How about love?
Yep.
I don't know. What else? How else to
Let's
say?
turn the music on and start. I'm ready for that conversation.
Love. Oh,
That's right.
oh. Well,
So
that will be it. Dr. Bell?
we have a guest that will be coming, Dr. Pastor Frank Leggett. I mean, that man is a guru. He has a powerful story, and they say nothing beats a story. He has a powerful story, and because of that story, he has been empowering families and ladies in the areas of relationship building, how to build a better relationship with your spouse. And guess what, ladies? We want you to bring your husbands as well for this one, because
And your fiancés
your
and
fiancés and your
your
boy.
yes, and your, you know.
Yes, your significant others. You can bring everyone and join the conversation with us. It's going to be not next week, the week after next, as we talk about love and relationships, how to grow in a relationship. We thank you so much for joining the conversation. And Dr. Grace, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say bye-bye to our viewers right now as we head out.
Yes, as I say bye-bye to our viewers, I want to firstly thank God for his divine guidance tonight and for his leading in the process. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Dr. Bell. It's been an awesome opportunity. And Janelle, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, our guest. We appreciate that. Thank you. I see people from Guyana. I saw persons from London and so many others from the US and all over Jamaica. And I'm sure I glimpsed someone from Canada. And we are grateful that you were here. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Let's Talk Life and Legacy, a moment with Dr. Grace. Tonight, we really talked about the clashes of the images. And I pray, God, that as you go, that he will unearth the issues that may be challenging you and reveal to you the true beauty in his image. God bless you.
Bye.
Hey, ladies. No, I found love. You don't know that song?